Another week, boys, and another TWAB. Actually, the final TWAB going into Shadowkeep. This is the one. This is the TWAB that we said every time we received a previous TWAB that lacked whatever information, we said it's alright, because we got the final TWAB that will have it all. We will judge this TWAB extremely harshly, so prepare yourselves, and prepare myself, because I haven't even read this yet. First up, we've got this week at Bungie is the final countdown for launch. It's been a long summer of reveals, travels, interviews, and updates. Now we find ourselves in that old familiar clearing at the end of the path. This is the final weekly update that we'll have before blast off on another adventure. Our new launch trailer is making the rounds, and here it is if you haven't had a chance to watch it. I'm not gonna put it here because it actually demonetized our video the other day. But yeah, pretty cool trailer. Check it out if you haven't. Today you'll find us ticking all the boxes on the pre-flight checklist. There are some final items we want to cover before you set out to investigate the mysteries of the moon. Here's what you'll find during a lengthy final scroll. Combat changes, progression and economy changes, patch note preview, ritual weapons and perk changes, set it straight, wear it with pride, and Bungie rewards. Let's start the clock. Alright fellas, this is it. Let's get into it. Combat changes. As discussed previously, damage numbers in Destiny 2 have been a bit out of control. We're making some adjustments so the numbers shown are smaller and easier to comprehend without affecting the percentage of damage you're dealing. We're also adjusting how your power works when you go up against enemies tougher than you. Here are some more details on what to expect. So PvE damage in terms of the numbers being displayed. Goal: to provide players with useful, legible feedback for damage dealt to enemy combatants across many years of power progression. Displayed power numbers for damage dealt to non-guardian enemy combatants are crunch. Damage dealt is displayed using fewer digits to enhance readability of damage output. Occurrences of displayed damage getting the caps at 999,999 should be significantly reduced or eliminated. It's kind of a bummer, right? Like whenever you hit all those nines, for a brief moment, especially for the first time you ever hit that number, you're like, oh my god, what did I just do? The exponential curve, though, used to calculate damage numbers for a display, is replaced with new linear curve that is built to last for many years. As players grow in power, displayed damage numbers increase at a much more measured pace than previously. Now note here at the bottom in bold, this is a UI update only. Player damage output, whether measured as hits to kill, time to kill, or DPS, remains unchanged by this update. Alright, so essentially guys, the numbers were getting so large, so big, that they weren't making sense considering that they were kind of capping out. There's only so much you can fit on the screen. That's what she said, or that's what he said. Regardless though guys, I don't believe this is just a UI update only, because personally after playing a little bit of Shadowkeep, yes, things are a little bit more meatier, which is why I think some weapon archetypes are actually going to thrive in this new sandbox, and we'll get into that more this weekend. Regardless though, the biggest thing to take away from all of this was the exponential curve there is now a linear, cumulative approach. Essentially addition instead of multiplication, okay? Which is why we won't see those beautiful, big, ginormous numbers like 999,000 ever again until we eventually get to the power creep that we are at now. Moving on, PvE difficulty tuning. Goals: widen the sweet spot where fighting higher level combatants provides a fun, challenging, and rewarding combat experience for more enjoyable power climb. Also, allow players looking for even greater challenges to confront much higher level enemies. Combatants that are 10 to 40 levels higher take less damage to kill and deal less damage. Higher level combatants continue to increase in difficulty up to 100 power levels above the player. When enemies are 100 power levels or higher above the player, they are immune to damage. Nameplate icons on higher level combatants have been updated to reflect these changes. These changes affect only higher level combatants. The at level or over level experience remains unchanged. Now you probably saw from some of the gameplay we showed on the moon, yes, those little nameplates definitely emphasize on what it is you're about to be dealing with. You see some skulls, you run the other way, because them boys are about to slap you. Progression and economy changes. Every season brings with it some tweaks to the power climb. Shadowkeep is going to deliver significant changes to how you grow in strength. We also want to make you aware of the changes to various currencies and the Eververse Trading Company before you set out to power up your gear. Rewards, power, and progression. All non-powerful rewards now drop 3 to 0 points below your highest equipable power level, up from 15 to 20 below. Wow, that's significant. That means when we actually do get a legendary drop during our power climb, we won't cry like we normally do. Year 2 powerful reward sources have been changed to legendary rewards. These sources no longer have a chance to drop a random exotic instead of the legendary gear. Bonus exotics that drop from Nightfalls, the Ordeal, will drop at the character's highest equipable power level. So we're actually going to show some of that gameplay tomorrow. Nightfall, the Ordeal, is like a new modifier, and yes, everything is just so beefy, man. Under and over leveling activities no longer adjust how much power is received from rewards. Experience no longer fuels a player's character level, which has been changed to be level 50 for all characters. Experience instead progresses the season pass, seasonal artifact mod, and power progressions, as well as the unlocking of destinations for new characters. That's a pretty neat feature. Experience rewards have been rebalanced with the introduction of the season pass and seasonal artifact progressions. The power granted from the seasonal artifact is additive with the power of players' equipable gear, but does not increase the power of gear drops. All existing gear has had its power increased to a minimum of 750. New characters will begin Destiny 2 at a power of 750 as well. The power bands from Season 8 are as follows. The floor is 750, the soft cap is 900. All drops up to this point will be upgrades to the most powerful item in your inventory or vault. Beyond this point, only powerful and pinnacle rewards will increase a player's power. Power cap 950. All non-powerful and pinnacle rewards are capped at 950. Pinnacle rewards are the only way to raise power above this point. Powerful rewards are equivalent to the character's highest equipable power beyond this point. Pinnacle cap is 960. This is the highest power at which gear drops, also known as the hard cap. The seasonal artifact bonus power allows characters to attain values above this level. Now, prime ingrams. These now gain charges more quickly, dropping more frequently, and have a higher maximum charge cap. 9 charges, up from 6 during year 2. The power gains have been rebalanced for increased frequency, providing +3 power, which is down from +4 to +7. Unfortunate, but I guess this is their way of balancing it, considering that legendary gear doesn't drop as low as it used to drop. Players who have completed the prime example quest prior to Shadowkeep's release will earn charges, but those charges won't drop until the characters reach 900 power. This will help players avoid spending charges early for gains that are most beneficial during the soft cap to powerful cap range. Alright, Bright Dust. Bright Dust is now earned by completing Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard weekly and repeatable bounties. We chose to grant all of the Bright Dust from Ritual weekly bounties rather than spreading out across the weekly and daily bounties, so players could more easily earn Bright Dust without having to make sure they complete every single daily. Players will be able to do the repeatable bounties as many times as they like. Any Crucible, Gambit, or Vanguard completed bounties need to be turned in before maintenance begins on September 30th, as these changes will reset them. Other bounties, Gunsmith, Eververse, etc., can still be claimed after October 1st. Alright, so for my guys that are hoarding Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard related bounties, you're gonna have to turn them in. But I think the wanted bounties from the Tangled Short should be okay. They didn't mention that as being part of the reset. Eververse items no longer dismantle into Bright Dust and instead grant legendary shards and Glimmer. New Eververse items for Season of the Undying will become available for Bright Dust 2 weeks into the season. Eververse items no longer require Bright Dust to reacquire them or reroll perks from collections. Instead, they cost the same materials that reward items of the same type rarity use. Fireteam medallions have been removed from the store, deprecated into fizzled Fireteam medallions, and can now be dismantled into Bright Dust to recover their purchase price. Gleaming Boon of Vanguard price has been lowered to 150 Bright Dust, and Gleaming Boon of Crucible price has been lowered to 500 Bright Dust. Wow, significantly more expensive for the Crucible one. Now, on the topic of Eververse, the Season 7 Best of the Year 1 Ingram has been retired, and in its place, players can now obtain the new Season 8 Nostalgic Ingram. The season milestone no longer grants a bounty. Instead, it directly grants a Bright Ingram. The Season 8 Nostalgic Ingram is no longer earned at level up. Instead, the Bright Ingram is now included in the free rewards of the Season Pass that are visible before level 100. It's also awarded every 5 levels after level 100. The Eververse storefront is now available via the Director. Eververse bounties, standard and IGR versions, have been deprecated. Any remaining bounty notes can be broken down into Bright Dust. You can still complete and turn in any outstanding Eververse bounties until they expire. Now moving on to Glimmer. Players can now store up to 250,000 Glimmer. Glimmer rewards from the majority of sources in game and have been rebalanced. Most open world sources, public events, lost sectors, chests, have been significantly increased. Passive Glimmer gain on kill has been reduced. In addition to directly awarding Glimmer on kill, combatants will sometimes drop additional Glimmer chunks. Weekly bounties award a large amount of Glimmer in addition to their other rewards. Now Spider's Exchange. The Spider welcomes new opportunities with 4 arms open and now deals in materials from all planets. However, the Spider has noted changes in the market value and has adjusted his exchange rates accordingly. Glimmer Exchange now costs 10 legendary shards or 20 materials and yields 10,000 Glimmer. Tangle Shore daily bounties no longer award Glimmer, providing instead etheric spirals in keeping with its competition. Weekly wanted bounties no longer award gear, but now provide between 3,000 and 15,000 Glimmer, in addition to the enhancement cores currently offered. Now moving on to Xur. Xur's inventory pool in Faded Ingram now include Royal Drop exotics from year 2. Are you telling me I'm finally gonna get Liar's Handshake? At this point, I just don't think they exist. Well guys, that wraps up the progression and economy changes. Now, moving on to the next block here, patch note preview. Oh boy, this one looks to be pretty long. We'll have a bunch of bullet points for you to peruse next week. Here's something to tide you over until then. Added rally banners to the Leviathan, Eater Worlds, and Spire Stars. Okay, should make those raids a little easier, especially for newcoming players. The Shadow Throne dungeon is now available at all times instead of on a 3-week cycle. It can also be launched and reset from the director. Well, hot damn. Like, I know lore-wise, that couldn't happen, I guess, until now. But man, that would have been so nice to already have had that in place. Black Armory Forges are now accessible through a director launch playlist on the EDZ. What? All of these are great changes. Weapon mods are now treated as reusable unlocks instead of consumables. Any mods you have in your inventory will be converted to unlocks. If the only copy of a mod you have is already in a gun, you will need to reacquire one to unlock it. So guys, you really want to go ahead and try to get one of every mod in your inventory. That way, when we actually do move into Shadowkeep, voila, you now have them all as reusable unlocks, which is amazing. Discarding an enhancement core no longer deletes the entire stack. I just want to know, who out there is discarding enhancement cores, huh? Are you just so rich with cores, you just decide to delete them in front of somebody? You know what? It serves you right if you accidentally delete that whole stack. I'm just saying. Borealis and Hardlight now match the Prism modifier when changing elements on reload, rotating through Void, Arc, and Solar. Wait a minute, hold up. Okay, I had to sit down and think about this one. This is actually just rotating in the correct order, matching that of Prism, so that you're not like working yourself backwards. Fix an issue where the Hunter Tempest Strike melee ability couldn't be performed if the sprint button was set to hold. I didn't even know that was an issue. Okay then. The Phoenix Protocol Hearth perk will no longer award bonus super energy on kills and assists to warlocks inside a Well of Radiance if they do not also have the Well of Radiance Attunement of Grace subclass equipped. Fix an issue where allied Golden Gun projectiles weren't going through banner shields. Fix an issue where the Queen's Wrath perk for the exotic Wish Ender bow wasn't correctly highlighting players if their shields were depleted. Players who obtained the Salute emote in the past can now correctly select it in their collection and assign it to their emote wheel. Multiplayer buddy emotes will now have a visible indication of where a player can stand to interact and initiate the emotes. Failing the first encounter for any Black Armory Forge will no longer award planetary destination materials. Oh, what? Bungie, you've let us do it now for like 6 months. Okay, well, we felt like it was gonna come. I'm surprised they haven't already nerfed the Black Armory farm to begin with. But hey, going forward, guys, if you don't got the materials, well, you're just gonna have to get them the old-fashioned way. Is that it for patch note preview? Okay, I thought this was gonna be longer. I'm kind of getting let down, but maybe the next section is gonna look juicy. Ritual weapons and perk changes. In Season of the Undying, Pinnacle weapons will become ritual weapons. They will no longer have special perks and will instead be curated roles. A previous article incorrectly showed 2 new Pinnacle weapons. The good news is you'll be getting 3 ritual weapons for each of the ritual activities: Crucible, Vanguard, and Gambit. Here's the Destiny dev team on why we made this difficult decision and some information on upcoming perk changes. The decision to stop creating extremely powerful Pinnacle weapons was made for a variety of reasons. The first was that the band in which Pinnacle perks can exist is actually quite small, and most of them far exceeded the the efficacy they should have been at. Another issue is that they cause problems in the player ecosystem, particularly in the case of the Crucible Pinnacle weapons. Due to the nature of PvP and PvE, anything that works well in PvP is likely going to be extremely effective in PvE as well. This forces players into the Crucible if they want the best loadouts. Even the title of Pinnacle set a variety of unrealistic expectations. Rather than being the absolute height of legendary power, they were supposed to be interesting novelties to chase. These problems became more pronounced the more of them we produce. In the end, we decided to move away from the Pinnacle weapons. If you managed to collect them all, we hope you enjoyed them. While we're on the subject of weapons, here are a few important notes on changes to how perks will work. That is huge. So we're not getting Pinnacle weapons this coming up season. Like, I know they're saying we're going to have alternatives to them, but Pinnacle weapons were something I look forward to more than anything, I think. Like, almost to the point where it was more exciting seeing what the next set of Pinnacle weapons were versus the next set of exotics. Like, I know there's a lot of PvE players that did not like going into comp. I know most of us did not like the mountaintop quests, but I kind of like that about Destiny. I like the fact that it pushes you to go into other activities. I'm not a guy that wants to do the raid every single week, but I did do it every single week for the past 8-9 months to finally get Anarchy. Why? Because Anarchy is so good. No, it's not great in PvP, and I get what they're trying to say here. It's just a bummer, man. I love the Pinnacle weapons. All right, let's just see what the hell it is they got on this next section. Reduce the effectiveness of the following perks in PvE: Rampage, Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Multi-Kill Clip, Desperado, Surrounded, Master of Arms, Onslaught. In general, these perks use the same damage multipliers for PvE that they did in PvP. The changes to Rampage does not affect the Huckleberry. Well, that just made Huckleberry a top tier weapon to use. Onslaught and Desperado now change bullet impact values while active in PvE. Surrounded no longer multiplies precision damage on top of base damage, as it was benefiting some weapon types more than others as a result. Okay, so this is a little demoralizing as well. I'm not even gonna lie, it's a lot of demoralizing stuff right now. Rampage, Kill Clip, these are our major damage dealing perks. You know, Multi-Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Desperado, all of these. I'm wondering if the perks themselves are being dialed back, similar to how they're dialed back inside of Crucible. So like, instead of you getting a 100% buff there inside of PvE with Multi-Kill Clip, now it's likely to match that of PvP, which is what, guys? Is it 66%? I can't even remember off the top of my head. Just know it's a reduction. And if that's going to be the case for all of these, well, many of your weapons with those damage dealing perks are going to be dealing less damage outside of, obviously, Huckleberry. I'm just going to main Huckleberry. It's Huckleberry forever. Legendary weapons have become too powerful overall. In many cases, they even outclass exotic primary weapons, so we're walking them all back a bit, all the way back in original Destiny. We had a perk named Crowd Control, which was Rampage's predecessor. Crowd Control capped out at a bonus of plus 15% extra damage. At this point in Destiny 2, Rampage caps out at about 67%. That's a 447% increase from the original iteration. Legendary damage perks have become so powerful, they simply invalidate non-damage related perks. Oh man. Bungie, you want to make me cry? Huh? In the middle of a TWAB? I know it's a little powerful. Rampage ×3, Rampage spec, especially if you're combining with something like minor or major spec. I understand that power creep is already getting a little too much, and I get why they're doing this, but for me, this is just gonna put more emphasis on finding that god roll now, which is good and bad at the same time, but it really sucks, guys. If I'm alone in this, all right, I'm alone in this. I know power creep is a thing, but I kind of like feeling powerful, all right? I like walking around with a slong at 447% and just smacking other guardians in the face. I'm okay with it. All right, we gotta move on because we'll get hung up on this subject all day. Bungie states, here's a quick preview of the 3 ritual weapons you can earn in Season of the Undying. Because these weapons are no longer Pinnacle weapons, the quest required to earn them is not as in-depth as previous seasons. I don't know how that makes me feel. The Vanguard, though, guys, is Edgewise. The Crucible is Randy's throwing knife. What? It's obviously a scout rifle. And the Gambit is Exit Strategy. It's an SMG. Oh, how bold of you, Bungie, to introduce an SMG as a non-Pinnacle weapon. In quotes there, guys. I'm putting that in quotes because I won't believe it till I'm seeing it. But it is interesting that they're introducing an SMG considering we've got Recluse, which is probably laughing right now. Now, we don't know what the perks are on these weapons, but you know, hey, maybe it's good. I'm assuming it's just gonna be if it doesn't have Pinnacle perks, and that's what they're saying. They're saying there's not gonna be Pinnacle perks here. I'm assuming it's gonna be some sort of perk combination that is not present on our current weapons. weapons. There's got to be something here on this scout rifle that makes it good. This LMG, especially this SMG. I mean, there's got to be something here that's going to make us use them over other weapons within their own archetypes. So I know the argument is, you know, some of these weapons are so powerful they can just be exotics. But I mean, at some point, I'm okay with them being exotics. Like, if you suddenly said, hey, Mountaintop is extremely powerful, we're going to make it an exotic. Oh, okay, I can live with it. Recluse and exotic. Okay. I'm just saying that I don't want to see creativity dialed back here for the sake of power creep, right? If exotics is our argument there, that some of these weapons surpass that of exotics, which they do, I don't mind these Pinnacle weapons being exotics. Maybe I'm alone here, but it seems like a perfect solution to me. A good compromise from both sides. All right, so moving on to the next section, because I know we can honestly sit here, we can get a whole panel set up. But the next section, set it straight. During the run-up to launch, we've been dropping videos, articles, interviews, and information all over the internet. Along the way, the fact checkers called us out a few times. Today we're issuing some corrections to previous transmissions. There was a shot of Trials of the 9 armor in the launch trailer by mistake. We wanted to clear up any confusion and let players know that the Trials of the 9 set will not be obtainable in Season of the Undying. We also had to revise our gameplay calendar for Season of the Undying. The menu of action is now the same, but we're adjusting the timing of the nightmare hunts. The new schedule looks like this. All right, so yeah, about the Trials armor, before we really get into the schedule, that was shown. They said it won't be obtainable in Season of the Undying. I know that's obvious. I thought we were going to be able to use it as like a transmog armor overlay for our Armor 2.0. Maybe I'm misunderstanding it. Maybe that's not going to be available either. This TWAB is riddled with terrible, terrible news right now. Now, the Nightmare Hunts on the calendar, or at least the hero version, starts on October 8th, and then the Legend one starts on the 15th. With the Master Nightmare Hunts occurring alongside the Leviathan's Breath exotic quest on October 22nd. This, of course, is the heavy bow. Outside of that, I don't think much has changed, other than, of course, the Xenophage LMG. That's the bug LMG. Be available, the quest will be, on October 29th. Originally, I think it said Divinity, which is the trace rifle, right? Which really threw us off, because we were told Divinity was going to be the exotic trace rifle from the raid. Have no idea. Could just be speculation. Regardless, though, that's your calendar now. Bungie goes on to state, though, that back when we were first talking about finishers and some of the mods that go with them, we talked about how one of the mods enabled you to spawn heavy ammo for your fire team when you executed a finisher. That was still in flux at the time, and for balance reasons, we ended up making a mod that will spawn heavy ammo for yourself and a mod that will spawn special ammo for your fire team. All right, so you can't make it rain heavy. We were actually told this last week, so I'm not blindsided by this one. All right, moving on to Wear With Pride. Bungie states here, our mission is to build worlds that inspire friendship. Our games become places where people, all kinds of people, can gather to share meaningful experiences. One of the most important aspects of friendships is acceptance. Earlier this year, we took to the streets as part of the Seattle Pride Parade. We also offered up a Pride pin via the Bungie store that was rumored to have an emblem that would come with it. The rumors are true, and we've chosen International Coming Out Day as the event to deploy the in-game expression of acceptance. All right then, it's a very nice emblem. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. We have an upcoming 24-hour maintenance occurring on Monday, September 30th. Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 will be taken offline for extended maintenance on all platforms. The maintenance is supposed to last for 24 hours, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific time and ending with the launch of Destiny 2 Shadowkeep on October 1st. You can also preload Destiny 2 Shadowkeep and update 2.6.0 on Steam. Bungie states, since New Light makes Destiny 2 accessible to everyone for free, no purchase is necessary to preload. You can literally just go to the Steam page, guys, and click the free version, and it will preload the big portion of the game for you. And I'm assuming it'll preload the update 2.6.0. Outside of that, guys, that's pretty much everything. I'm not going to get into the whole PC migration stuff. We've already covered that before. That is our final TWAB. Am I a little let down? Absolutely. I was expecting some exotic armor changes, some load of Pinnacle weapons, and I know we have weapons that are like kinda Pinnacle, right? But this kind of just brings it back to the whole conversation around like mountaintops and hilltops. And now it seems like we're kind of moving our weapons in terms of our Pinnacle weapons more into hilltop territory. When I show off this Crucible scout rifle called Randy's throwing knife, am I going to be proud of it? I don't don't know. I don't think so. Super unfortunate, guys. Really is. I'm still hyped for Shadowkeep because I feel like it's got so much more content to offer, and I'm assuming that these changes were made because Bungie actually wants us to get more involved with Shadowkeep and the activities surrounding it. But there's a lot of players I know that literally go into the next expansion or the next season and they look straight at the Pinnacle weapons. They don't care about the story. They don't care what's happening in the world. They just want to see what that next Pinnacle weapon is to chase. So this is unfortunate. Now, I don't want to just jump up and condemn these weapons because they could have some perk combinations that make them extremely good, right? We'll just have to wait and see. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.